Hello and welcome to Tea and a Chit Chat. My name is Russell, and today we are joined by the very lovely Emma from the Pointless Podcast. Obviously this is just a very casual chat. We'll get to know a little bit more about Emma, but before we begin, the most important question of all is, what tea are you drinking?
I've got my mint tea.
Mint tea? Is that peppermint or is it like another kind of mint that I don't know about?
It's more peppermint, yeah.
Peppermint tea.
Yeah.
And is that something you've always drunk? Is it a new kind of flavor?
I think I've always drank it, because it calms my stomach, and my stomach can get quite upset most of the time. So.
Well, it's a nice calming tea, ready for a nice calming chat with myself. Well, thank you very much for joining us, as I said. To everyone watching, hello, and thanks for tuning in. Don't forget that you can ask Emma a question. If you write it in the chat, I will keep track of those, and we'll ask them towards the end of the stream, which should be around about 7, but I always seem to overrun these days, so you never know. If you want to ask her a question, just write it down and we'll get to those later on. But I have questions of my own, of course. Now, you're ready for grilling, because Ian scared you off a little bit, didn't he, on Twitter, saying that you were prepared for a very in-depth, hard-hitting chat, but honestly, he's lying. It's very calm.
I know you. We've done
Yes.
your podcast, we've done my podcast, so it's not like I
That's-
don't know what to expect with you, but this is new, so.
Well, the first question I want to ask you is: Are you okay? Are you safe? Are you well? Yeah.
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Okay, because obviously there's a thing that's keeping us all in our homes right now. Are you working from home?
Yeah, our office was split up into teams, so 1 week I was working from home and the other week in the office.
So that's just a way for them to avoid sort of lots of people being together in the same space, which I guess is kind of responsible. And are you okay saying who you work for?
Oh, yeah, I work for Asmodee, and I am in part of the marketing team there.
So, that must be, we talked about this before. Oh, hello, Leyland Steele. So Emma says, hello, Emma. I'm your biggest fan. So glad to hear you're doing well. Hello, by the way. And thanks. You were my most recent follower, I believe. So thanks for tuning in and thanks for following. So obviously Asmodee being one of the biggest companies in board gaming, probably. Would you say that? Or would you say someone like Fantasy Flyers? What do you think? Do we know?
Well, I would rather talk about other stuff because Asmodee is fun, but I am not here because I work for Asmodee, but probably because I do other stuff, hopefully.
No, of course not. In fact, it's just one of those things that it's just part of your life. So I mentioned it, but obviously we're here to more get to know you better. So on that basis, obviously you're a big board game fan. We know that. We've played board games together, which has been pretty fun. I hope. I don't know. I never really
was fun.
checked. Okay, that's good.
You beat me at Crokinole though, so bad.
Oh gosh. Well, it's
still frustrated.
The thing is, that game has what we call a skill imbalance issue, in the sense that if someone's played it lots before, then you're very unlikely to beat somebody, because it is about sort of learning an actual physical skill. So I never played it before, so hope you feel I don't want to make you feel bad about that. Now, I probably have played it once before, because we did recently get a Crokinole board at my board game cafe that I work at, and I tried it a couple of times. It's fun though, but we've played other games, right?
Yeah, we played. What games did we play?
Because we were at Essen together.
Yes.
I can't remember. Do you know what? It's been so long and my memory is so bad that I actually genuinely can't remember. And actually that's a good segue into my next question, which is, so you're obviously a big board game fan. What's your sort of earliest memory relating to board games?
I think that goes back to me as a child, because we played board games with my family, and that was going on holiday camping. We would bring games, a full crate filled with games, or just playing here at home. I've got a picture of myself as a kid with an old school Acquire game in front of me. I wasn't really playing the game back then, but playing with the plastic hotel pieces was really fun. So it's Settlers of Catan and those kind of games I would play with my family, or Citadels, or Tichu, or card games, or Mahjong, or anything.
Wow, that's
Just
quite a large sort of variety of games. Did you? Because I was still able to be called a child when Catan came out. But I never played it until I was sort of like late teens, like when I was at university. But what do you like? How old were you when you first played Catan? Like, do you remember? Was it? I mean, I don't know. They've obviously released a game since called My First Catan, or Catan Junior, I think it's called. And so obviously I imagine that it's not really a game that young kids can play. But I guess you could. I guess if you're a smart enough kid, you could.
I think I played it like when I was in preschool, I think, as already.
Wow. And
we all also had like, I went to like a circus after school thing on Tuesdays, and then we would play like games with a couple of people at home. And I think, I don't remember what age I started playing games, but
seems
pretty
like
early.
Very young. Yeah, I mean, I used to play games with my family as a child, but it was mostly like Monopoly and Scrabble, and games that actually was never really that interested in, which is why I probably didn't get like obsessed with games until actually I played a game that was genuinely like strategic. But
Well, I didn't get obsessed back then either, because I kind of got sometimes forced to play games with my parents. So then I was like, oh, do we have to play another game? But
really,
yeah.
so even if like, is it because you didn't like games, or you just didn't like playing games with your parents?
I didn't like losing games.
So you're competitive. Do you have
Yeah,
any
I'm
siblings, by the way?
Yeah, I've got a younger sister. Yeah.
I have siblings as well. I'm also very competitive, so that probably like somebody's like judging us and going, yep, siblings, competitive person right there. That's the way I've always been anyway. So you're based in the Netherlands, and it does sound from what you've just said that there is quite a big board gaming scene, or like what's not necessarily board gaming scene, board gaming is a bigger part of being in the Netherlands than it would, say, for example, in the UK. Would you think? Or do you just not know?
It depends, because we've got a couple of board game companies such as Asmodee or 99 Games or White Goblin, and there's a couple of them here in the Netherlands, which provide us with Dutch translations of the games. I think that's step one of having a lot of people playing games. But I would not say it's bigger than the UK or anything. We don't have a lot of board game cafes, that's just like, we have some how do you say it? Just board game groups that come together and like have like, I totally lost for the word, but
I wish I could help. Like, I want to figure out what this word is.
Well, it's vereniging, but
that's such a great word. I don't even know what it means, but it's great.
No, yeah, it's like having just it's a group, but then more organized.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, no, like a regular meeting group thing. I don't know. I'm confused now.
Yeah, with like being a member of the group and like actual like official groups, not just like, oh, we're playing there and there like every Monday.
So it's more professional.
Yeah, I found I can't.
Well, just say the word again, and we'll get translate afterwards.
Vereniging.
So good. So actually,
it's a club. It's a club.
A club. Okay.
Yeah.
But some see, that's weird, because like a club in the UK is less. I guess it's like it's like more casual. But anyway, so you have those groups, and when did you first did you partake in those?
Not until recently. I think I kind of joined a group last year or the year before, but because of like new job, new commute, I wasn't able to continue with that because I got home very late. But and now I'm obviously not visiting any groups, so it's mostly playing online right now.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So how have you been getting your gaming fix in, since you've obviously been stuck inside, or not necessarily, but like been stuck inside more than usual? What's your go-to solution for board games?
Well, I'm stuck with my parents because I moved back with my parents in April, and we're playing games together. So I
Lovely.
taught them Wingspan
Oh,
because they were
nice.
very interested in that, and they grabbed my copy of Azul and have been playing it nonstop.
Ooh, so Azul, I know as a game with like massive appeal to sort of people with who want a lighter game, but it's still strategic. Is that your category your parents fit into? It sounds like they've been playing games since very young, so maybe they're a bit more advanced.
Well, they also play like Scrabble and like other. I think the games I play most. They also play Catan, the card game, or just regular Catan, and
So
I think they're up for more games, but I don't think I can teach them a heavy Euro game or anything right now.
no, is it because so with the games that you've been playing, is it just do you repeat play a lot? Do you play the same games over and over, or do you tend to like vary it up a bit?
No, the collection that's still at my parents is mostly the same games over and over.
Including Wingspan and Azul. Any other games? Any other games you wish you had that you'd be like that you'd like to play over and over again?
Ooh, I don't have a copy of Codenames anymore, and
But if
so
it's just you and your parents and there's three, maybe you'd want Codenames Duet instead.
yeah, or just like figure it out. But like if I'm looking back at the games I used to be able to play,
Yeah.
that's one of the games I was like, oh, that's my dad really likes that game as well, so that would fit in our category of like just having a quick game
Yeah. Because
night.
it's so funny because I see Codenames as I think it's just from past experience, but I see Codenames as a game that actually can take a long time because of the people that I play with, I guess. Because I always remember having these like visions of just sitting down there and like just waiting and waiting for my friend to give a clue. So for me, that's not like a quick game. Like I understand it is to obviously others because you can just come up with the clues like that. But no, and also like if I'm the one giving the clue, I really need to come up with a clue that's at least like 3. Otherwise, there's no point.
At least 3. That's
Yeah.
sometimes very hard to do.
I know, right? I'm punishing myself. What do they call it? Like, is it sadomasochist? Where I like the punishment. I don't know. That's not true. That's not true. Just trying to think of that word. But yeah, I always since Codenames is like a longer game for that from my experience, which is funny because actually I never thought about how people can take the same game and have like different sort of like vastly different opinions of it. Oh, it's a light game. No, this is like a long game. That one is. I've got
Well, like I quite enjoy like a Feast for Odin, and it's a heavier game, but I think for me it's like I could play that anytime.
Yeah, I've not
Yeah.
actually played that, and I think no pun included played it on the stream lately. But I never understood the rules. I think I missed them, so I just generally didn't. So I didn't understand the game. I was just watching. I was like, yes, they're getting pieces, but I'm not unsure what it is. So that's one of your like top games of the last couple of years, presumably.
Codename Feast for Odin, or
Feast for Odin. Feast for Odin.
I think it's if I have to get like a top games that it would be in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I'd have to learn it then because it's a Yui Rosenberg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've not played it, but it does seem to be a game that I'd enjoy. I mean, I'm not huge on polyomino games generally.
It's a big part of it, so
I
it
know.
combines a lot of things together. So the worker placement, the polyominoes, and like trying to figure out and planning. You cannot plan completely ahead, but having the Norwegians expansion helps with just not going full on like the boat situation, because that's always the winning strategy, I think, in the normal game.
Yeah. Leyland Steele just said the trick for code names is to always take that extra guess. Blind guesses speed it right up. That's like
Yeah, so
so
the other
dangerous.
people I play games with are the incorrigibles, because we're just playing online. And
Is that an inside reference to something?
the Incorrigible Party is a group that plays D&D for their podcast.
Yes.
Just having them a shout out, because I've
Yeah,
been playing a lot of games with them. But Leland always throws in an extra guess.
See, that seems like so dangerous because
It is.
It's the assassins out there. I mean, earlier on, I guess you could throw one out there, but then the chances are you're going to hit something that's not beneficial to you. But you know what? It's a legit gameplay strategy if you want. So I say if it works for you, Leland, keep on doing it. So want to talk about Twitter, because I know that you're on Twitter and you're actually very...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think that's how we first communicated, no? Like, I can't even remember how we first met. Do you remember? I genuinely can't remember. That's quite bad, isn't it?
Probably either a Photoshop or something related to that.
So, for those who aren't aware, Emma was, I guess, like sort of Twitter famous a while back from creating these like random paper cutouts of Christian, and also doing like photoshops of stuff. And I still love that every time there's a photoshopped element on Twitter somewhere, like I'll always assume it's you. Even if it's not. For example, I attempted my own Photoshop joke with the Paula Deming and Rodney Smith, where I just things get plaid-y. I think I changed the logo.
Oh, yeah.
It was very bad, but it just reminded me of you. So you, like, where did that come from? Like, why were you just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to use Twitter for... I mean, we even covered this on the podcast, but this is a new medium, it's all video. So if you want to tell exactly the same story again, that's totally fine by me.
Yeah, I've been on Twitter before, just like posting some pictures of games, but not really being active on it. And then I just thought, oh, I'm gonna be more active. And I watched the live stream Shop and Sit Down was doing for Twilight Imperium, and I watched the full 8 hours, like in one sit, like cooking dinner in the meantime and just having fun watching them play. And I tweeted about it, and it got like picked up a bit by some people, and then I was like, oh, hey, people are online. I'm just not shouting into the abyss, just random stuff. And then I just started interacting more, and I think most of the stuff, I started photoshopping Aizabaza, his raccoon stuff, which was very weird and just random.
He is a big target for your photoshopping and jokes, I've noticed.
He's a good target.
Have you met him in real life?
No, I have not.
Would you like to? Or are you a bit like, oh, it's going to be really awkward because when we talk, he's just going to be like, yeah, you're that person who's obsessed with my raccoon.
Well, I've had him on the podcast, so I've seen his real face and I know his name. And
you've seen his real face? Oh my gosh. Thing is, I've been thinking about potentially inviting him on this show, but I'm like, is he going to want to come on the show? Because he's gonna have to like talk in front of like a camera for like an hour, and he's very... I felt
he has a new mask. He has just the eye mask, so that should be fine.
Do you think that's like almost too much? He's revealed now. He can't go back. He's lost too much of his anonymity. No. So I liked his reveal video though. That was brilliant. I thought that was really funny. So going back to the photoshopping bits, have you obviously then you started it, and I'm assuming then people were like really interested and enjoying your work, and that only encouraged you to do more.
Just him and a couple of other people, and I just thought, okay, I enjoyed it doing it, so I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then Rodney did his box flip video, and I was like, okay, I just posted a picture of myself revealing how I looked like, because I wasn't really recognizable in my previous profile picture because I had a cat like blocking half my face.
Yeah.
And I decided, oh, why not make a video of me juggling boxes, because I can juggle with 3 items. So I was like, I see everyone doing their box flip thing, and I was like, oh, that's just 2 boxes. Why not 3? And I stood awkwardly in front of the couch just trying to juggle boxes, and I think I stood there for a while before I got like the actual recording, and then I just posted it on Twitter, and that was like full anxiety for a while.
Was there a point where you're like when you're filming a video and it takes you a while, was there a point where you're like, I think I've invested too much time in this now and it's not going to have the payoff that I want?
No, because I was like, I'm here for this. I am spending my Saturday on this, and I'm just doing it.
I was just thinking, because I've done that. I mean, I recently did something different on Twitter. I hate, by the way, I do hate bringing up stories about me on an interview with somebody else. I find it so like egotistical, but it's a good point, because I remember doing something different. I did like a comedy video, and I wrote it up, and I was like, the sun's going down, I'm going to lose any light from the video in like half an hour, but I still want to do it, so I just threw it out there. But I think if I had taken any longer, I would have been like, I'm really committing to this kind of thing, which might just fall flat on its face. But I guess that's why I was asking if there was a point where you're like, after a certain point, do I? But I guess, you're committed to the joke, and that's what I love. I always remember you talking on the podcast before about how you literally just don't mind just putting yourself out there. And I think that's actually quite admirable quality, because I think that so far I've not seen anything of yours that I would not have been like proud if I'd have done something like that. And I had your like obviously style and personality. I don't think I could get away with putting on a parrot onesie and dancing around and doing like little meme recreations. That was amazing. But you pull it off, and I think that's really good. So obviously it's working out for you.
Yeah. I mean, talking about like not giving up on a thing. Remember that video I did when I was standing in the park with like the cardboard, the punch boards, and I was trying to do something, and I just literally said in the video, okay, this is not working, but here, enjoy having these bloopers cut together and me throwing the punch boards in the air, hoping they would fall down as leaves, but they just like, and me just standing there,
God, that's
failing
so
miserably
risky as well, because they've got like really sharp corners, especially if they're thicker ones. That could have injured you.
It could have, yeah.
But you've lived to tell the tale, which we're all very thankful about.
Well, I've got one finger less now. Just pointing.
I've got one.
One finger
here's
left.
an easily disprovable joke. I've lost one of my fingers. Are you going to bring it back? Because I've noticed there's been a dip in how much you've put out there. And obviously that's totally fine because you have a life. You obviously, things happen, and we don't deserve to have you creating as much content as you have. But obviously, being that it sort of was your bread and butter for a while and we haven't seen it for a while, is it your intention to bring that kind of stuff back?
Well, yeah,
okay.
Because starting a new job came with a pretty long commute of 4 hours a day, so I spent 20 hours a week just being on the road. That's one of the reasons I wanted to start my podcast, because I could edit that in the train.
So nice.
I could take my time. I really sat down like, oh, how can I do the stuff I was doing and still do that with my job? So there came the podcast. Yeah, and no, I had the idea already, and I was like, oh, this is the perfect combination to do that together. And right now I have been working on some plans to get some more stuff started.
Exciting.
And hopefully making stuff again. But like you said, like life happens, moving happens, changes in your life happen, and yeah.
I mean, sometimes life, it's a cliche, but life gets in the way of your plans, which is fine. We'll talk more about your podcast in a bit, because obviously that's your main creative project at the moment, unless I'm missing something. I mean, I like to say I do my research on my guests, but unless there's you're secretly behind, Dice Tower, for example, and you're employing Tom Vassell maybe, but that's your main thing. But we'll get to that, don't worry. But I wanted to ask you, on your commute, has that made you want to try like downloading board game apps, for example?
I've done very interesting research into the purchase intention of board game applications for my studies as my final I'm gonna graduate. This is my graduation research project, and a lot of Dutch people don't like to pay for stuff, and I'm one of those.
Fair enough.
So I know of a couple of apps I really like, and I'm thinking about purchasing them for myself. Like Through the Ages is very wonderful as an app.
I've heard a lot about that, actually, and obviously
it's pretty good.
And any others?
I've played Patchwork, but that's more on Steam.
I didn't even know that was out on Steam. I'm quite impressed, actually. It's not a difficult, crazy game to sort of adapt into an app. I just didn't know. I think it's on the app
as well, but.
So because there's been a lot of free apps being released. Obviously, when this lockdown started, a lot of board game publishers, digital companies responsible for adapting them, a lot of them did actually release products for free. So I was like, maybe you took advantage of that. I mean, I could probably look on my phone right now and probably find a couple of apps. I didn't download that many, to be honest, because I'm not really an app user, but I downloaded On Tour. I downloaded Reigns, which isn't really a board game. I think they're making a card game out of it. And and actually not that much actually. Apparently, I didn't download that many, but I know that, for example, Tokaido was free, and I think they released a bunch of games on Steam for free as well. And I was just curious, maybe if you took advantage of that. But
I got Between Two Castles, I think.
Oh yes,
for free on Steam. I also
same.
got Civilization for free today, and it's like, that's not a board game, but that's just, I needed that.
What was it? Civilization? Yes, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I mean, you one of the people who got hooked on Animal Crossing?
Yeah. Same. Life changes. I currently don't own a Switch anymore.
Oh yes. Oh, that's sad. Yeah. I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that sucks. But yeah, I had to fight because I lost my Switch. I say lost it. It got stolen from me. But yeah. I managed to get one recently just in time. I guess I was like a couple of weeks late, but for Animal Crossing, and it just absorbed my life for like the next 2 to 3 weeks. It was mad. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about your podcast, because obviously that's your big project these days. So it's Pointless Parrot Podcast. We're going to take a wild guess where that name came from, your love of pointless stuff and your love of parrots. So that's obviously born from that. But what was it? Was there
not exactly pointless, just random stuff.
Random, yes.
Yeah.
And obviously the alliteration probably, yeah, that's right. And so I know that, I don't know if you've been watching many of my past few streams, but I have been doing another format point. It was initially just the tea, and that was it, and then it's just a chat. But I have been creating games for my guests. Less games, but sort of like quiz trivia games that the audience can play along with at home. So I have got a game for you later on. So I'll probably do that in about sort of 15 minutes or so. So yeah, be prepared for that. But Pointless Parrot Podcast, was there a moment where you were like, this is something I really want to do? Because obviously the cliche is obviously a lot of people feel like they want to start a podcast. But what was it for you that was like, that's it, I'm going to make a podcast?
Well, I was invited to be a guest on the Variable Player Power podcast, and my audio was horrible, but I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I get to hang out with cool people and talk to them, and I was so honored they wanted me on their podcast, because I still feel like I don't really bring a lot to the community.
Don't say that.
But I'm doing random stuff, and I'm happy people enjoy it, but I'm like, oh, there's so much more, like, oh, cool people.
You are cool. I officially give you the seal of approval, the cool approval.
Well, yeah, so I was a guest on that podcast, and I was like, okay, I'm starting my new job. This may be one thing I could do to sit down with cool people, talk with them about cool stuff, and just having fun. And that's the most important thing of all the things I do. I need to be having fun while I'm doing stuff. So making the videos, making the GIF recreations. If I have an idea, I kind of want to do it immediately. Otherwise, I'm just going to stall it and don't do anything with it. So I kind of impulse bought my microphone and just started brainstorming on my commute, and then got you on, got other people on, and
so for those,
it happened.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I was actually Emma's first guest on her first podcast, which is why it's nice to have you on this as well. I know that you were on our podcast, but this is a much more fun series to do right now, because obviously we're all stuck in our homes. But so yeah, thank you for the invite. I'll treasure that for the rest of my life.
You joked about putting it on your tombstone, right?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, that's maybe not a good joke right now, but
no, it's fine. People die all the time. It's okay to joke about death as long as you're not mean, and I'm okay with it. It's my death. That's horrible. All right, let's move on. So, you're one of the few people in this kind of board gaming community that's not reviewing stuff. And yet I feel like you've made it, because you've got some hugely big fans out there, including well-known people, including like Rodney Smith, who was it sounded like from your meeting him, was just as excited to meet you as you were to meet him. Like, how does that make you feel, like that you are known by all these people just for doing essentially stuff that was just kind of really just kind of fun to do?
Well, it's very weird for me because I've looked up to a lot of people I'm now talking to on a regular basis for a couple of years because yeah, like I've watched reviews, I like was just consuming the board game content without doing anything with it. So to now have met people like Rodney, like Afghan Elaine, hanging out with people online, that I'm like, I feel so honored and special that they want me in their lives as well for some reason. So that's, yeah, I feel like I am still living in a weird haze of like, this is so cool, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe what's happening. Like starting a D&D stream tomorrow with a bunch of amazing people, with Ross, with Afghan Elaine, with Paul Dean. I'm like, why am I in that list?
I think it's great. So let's talk. Have you played D&D before?
Yeah.
Okay. As a player, presumably not as a DM. Yeah.
Yeah, I've only played as a player. Yeah.
And how many games have you played, or how many campaigns have you been a part of?
I've been only part of 2 campaigns. One was at one of my previous jobs, which stopped because I had to go there, and the other one is still going. So that's going on for like 2 years already.
And I'm really bad. I'm probably like a really bad board game person that I'm just not really that interested in playing or participating in role-playing games.
That doesn't make you a bad board game.
Well, I mean, there's a large swathe of the people out there who probably would think differently. It doesn't matter. Obviously, I was mainly teasing. Obviously, don't think I'm a bad person for not being interested in role-playing games. But as someone who isn't necessarily knowledgeable about RPGs, what is it about Dungeons and Dragons specifically that you think is making it hugely popular? Do you think it's just because it got in there early, or do you think there is something special about it?
I think it's, for me personally, a way to get my creative thoughts, give it like, if our campaign plays Saturday maybe every month, because we're 7 people, so it's difficult with scheduling, but we play for 5 hours straight, like with obviously some breaks in between and a lot of food on the table. But you're like, I am mentally exhausted after playing for that long.
Yeah.
And it's a way to just, you don't need a lot. You don't even need the book. That, like, you don't need to have it with you. If someone in your group has it, you can share it, and whatever. You need some dice, and that's it. You just need your imagination, and it opens it up to so many people and so many stories, and you can just go crazy with it.
So you're going to go in tomorrow. I should point out, by the way, that Panda Angel says that it's not a bad thing. RPGs are not for everybody, and it doesn't make you less of a board game expert. And I would agree with that. I mean, take what I said earlier on with a little bit of like, jokes aside. I am a bit of I'm funny with quotation marks. Yeah, but I generally, if you don't like RPGs,
you're funny. Come on, say you're funny. If I need to,
I'm hilarious. There we go. Now it's said it on the stream. That's going to be clipped out of context, and that's going to haunt me. So tomorrow you're playing it. You've not done any like pre stuff. It's literally just going to be coming on the stream and then just going straight into it.
Well, we've had to
create your characters.
Well, we didn't. Yeah, we had one stream. Yeah, stream. We just Skyped to try to set everything up, technical stuff, and figuring out, seeing, do we actually vibe with each other? Do we want to do this? And I think we also already started like creating the characters and just brainstorming, and I think it went very well with like how we each work with each other. And then the second meeting was just like testing again to see if everything still worked, and just
that's very exciting
about stuff.
I genuinely think this could be like very big, because I don't think there's been, as apart from, say, I know Geek and Sundry, they're not doing Critical Role, are they? It's different. Is it separate from them? I don't know. If anyone out there watching knows, but I know that Critical Role is the biggest D&D RPG sort of like podcast going, but I think that there's not been as much of an attempt from, I want to say, like board game reviewer and reviewing, especially British, European board game content creators that have not attempted something like this grand. So it's very exciting. I think it has the potential to really big. And so I will be tuning in. And, even if I don't necessarily like Dungeons and Dragons, I'll be tuning in and to support you guys. So, yeah, fingers crossed. I'm really excited. So that's tomorrow, 7 p.m. British time?
I think it's 8 British time.
So 7 GMT, 7 p.m. GMT.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's on FK, the no pun included Twitch
Yeah, the no
stream.
pun included, yeah.
Cool. Well, that'll be very exciting. So obviously there's a chance for people to tune in. Okay, so talking of, meeting people and, Paul, I guess, Paul Dean was on one of your most recent podcasts. Is it your most recent one?
No, that's Paula Deming.
Paula Deming.
Sorry. Yeah.
I was almost there. It's like 4 or 5 letters were the same. No, Paul.
Yeah, it was very confusing to have them back to back in my list. But
so I mean, you with Paul Dean, you met him, and obviously there have been, like you just said, Paula Deming, and obviously you've had a lot of other people on, which is baffling because I also feel like the same of like, why was I part of that list? Do you know what I mean? How did I get on the same, like list as all those big names? But how did like? Is there anyone that you haven't had on yet that you'd like to? And you can include people that you've already got plans to do that because we won't know.
Well, I've got a couple people already like that confirmed they wanted to be on, so I'm very excited to record with those people, like the brothers Merv.
Exciting.
That's gonna be very cool. But I would love to make Rodney work for an episode, but it's the scheduling will I'm probably jinxing it now, so it's never going to happen because I mentioned it now.
I very much doubt that. I think you've got it in the bag. I think he's a very big fan of yours. So I very much I'm looking forward to that. That's who I was thinking of, by the honest, when I was saying this. I was like, I bet Rodney's going to come on if he hasn't been on already. And what was I going to say? Let's talk. I've got a list of questions in case I get stuck. So when you who are some of your favorite content creators out there at the moment?
Ooh, I am not good at favorites because I like everyone brings their own stuff to the table.
Of course.
And I like so many people.
So don't treat this as because I get asked this a lot at the Board Game Cafe, and they say, what's your favorite game? And I was just like, well, I mean, there's lots of favorite games. Like I just have games I really enjoy, and then games that I don't enjoy as much. It's hard to pick favorites because I don't feel like I want to commit to something as important as that. I'd rather just say, look, here are some games I enjoy. So how about you just say some content creators that I can think of right now that I'm like, and if you don't want to answer, that's totally fine. You have the right to say, nah, I don't want to answer that.
Right to remain silent.
Yeah. The Miranda.
No,
right.
obviously I podcast wise, I really enjoy This Game is Broken because that's also inspired me a bit with their comedy. I was like, oh, if they can do comedy, I might be able to do something that's pointless for some reason. I really like The Incorrigible Party because it's the D&D and I can listen to it and they're all amazing people. I like your show. I like We're Not Wizards. I like FK and Elaine. Their videos are so amazingly good. Paula Deming, and I can go on for ages.
Speaking of that, like obviously you said, you obviously consume a lot of the content. Is that something you do on your commutes, or do you do that even outside of that?
Well, the commutes then got changed to editing the podcast in the beginning. I tried to catch the Brothers Smurf Painting Minis live stream when they started doing that on Wednesdays, because that was the perfect timing for me to be in the train going back home and watching their stream. If the Wi-Fi allowed, because that's always the issue in the train.
Public Wi-Fi, you can never rely on it, unfortunately.
For some reason on my laptop it worked better than on my phone, so I would just grab my laptop the moment I got in the train, open it up and hope for the best.
So one thing I want to ask you as well is, because you have obviously got a love of board games and stuff, and would you consider yourself and I use this in the most positive connotation possible, a geek?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, and so with being a geek, I mean, what is that poster in the background? I can't quite
It's
see it.
from Portal.
Oh yes, the shell and
Yeah,
what's his name?
Gladys.
Not Russell, is it? What's the
Gladys and
Wheatley?
what's his name?
Wheatley,
yeah.
yeah. There we go. And that's honestly one of some of my favorite video game franchise. I just really dislike the Valve. They just don't seem to they they stop at like 2 all the time. Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, Episode 1, Episode 2, and then Portal 1, Portal 2, Left 4 Dead 1, Left 4 Dead 2. It's just like, come on, dudes, make a third game, please. And actually, based on that, I mean, you kind of answered already, but does your pop culture extend to, obviously, we talked about Animal Crossing, so obviously there's a video games in there as well. Do you have any other interests? Like, do you read comics? Do you watch a lot of film and TV?
I watched a lot of Netflix, which was a bit less the last couple of months because I was just focused on the podcast.
Yeah.
I read a lot of books. I try to read. I think I read over 10 books last year because I set myself a goal I want to read again.
Wow.
And
awesome.
I managed to do, I think, 15 or something.
Wow. Do you have any? I was going to say, do you have any highlights? Like, if it's any recommendations for people watching, maybe? Like, good books that you've read?
I never read the full His Dark Materials trilogy. So I read the complete... I got an amazing hardcover edition of it. And the paper cover around it got, from, reading it so much, in such a short time, I rubbed off some of the print. Yeah.
Wow. So that honestly, that's a really good series. If you haven't read it, it's really easy to get into as well. I actually started watching. Did you watch the TV show?
No, not yet. I still need to watch that. But I watched it. I knew of the book because I watched the movie when they made it.
The Golden Compass.
The Golden Compass. So I was like, oh, why did I never look? Because I remember being so angry that they never continued with the movies because they left it at such a weird spot. And then I was like, oh wait, they're books. Why did I never get the books?
I never watched the film, but the TV show, I have to say that, and I might be in the minority with this, but I found the main actress, the girl, I found her quite irritating, so I really couldn't get into it. But other people have said that they don't feel the same way, so it might just be me. But yeah, I've been reading, by the way, the Ken Follett Kingsbridge books. Those are really good. They're historically based, so one of them setting 1100s, then 1400s or something like that. But they're really good. They're quite bleak sometimes, but they're very good. You know what? I think that we're about time to start playing the game that I've created for you. And this is, by the way, anyone watching at home, you can also take part in this game. The game is called Pointless Parrot, the Pointless Parrot game. Okay, in honor of your podcast. So how it's going to work? Okay, I've come up with only seven. Did I come up with 7? Yes, 7 different games. Okay, so 7 different games. They're real games. However, some of them relate to bird. I'm getting confused. Sorry. I'm getting distracted because there's a lot of noise in the background. So yeah, 7 games. There's what I need you to do. I'm going to give you the game. And then what you need to tell me is you need to give me the correct response based on the game and some factors about it. Okay, so I'm going to explain how this works. There's the game that I give you is either going to be a game that utilizes points. Okay, so it has victory points or a point scoring system to determine whether you've won or not. Okay, in which case, if that game does have that system or a system like that, you need to say you've got a point. All right. Mm-hmm. If the game does not utilize a points-based system to determine whether you've won or not, then you say that's pointless. Okay, yeah. So you see what the pointless aspect of the quiz comes in. So if the game uses points, you say you've got a point, and if the game doesn't utilize points, you say that's pointless. However, of each of the games, they may also be games that feature birds in the game itself as well. Okay, and in that case, you need to add parrot at the end of the phrase.
Oh my god.
I have to admit, right, this is one of my more convoluted gaming quizzes.
I feel pressure already. Like,
I should have put a little cheat sheet online so anyone could read up. But just to clarify, so 7 games. You just need to reply the right way. So again, if it uses points, say you've got a point. If it doesn't have any points, you say that's pointless. And then
what if I reply with it's pointless to everything because everything is pointless in the Pointless
That's
Parrot
not
podcast.
the game.
Oh.
That's not the game. So yeah, and then because there's only 7 games, the maximum score you can get is 7. Okay, and so if you score say 4, I will say you've won the game. All right, so you're just gonna get 4 of these right. But obviously there's 2 parts to each one. There's the point versus pointless, and there's the whether you've got to add parrot, and that is if there's a bird anywhere in the game. Okay, are you ready?
No, but come
Okay.
on. I
So-
can do it, hopefully.
I'll start you with. I like to think they get harder as they go along. Okay, so let's start with wingspan.
You've got a point, Parrot?
You've got a point. Parrot is the correct answer. Congratulations. That one's a nice, easy one. So you've got 1 point. Well done. Okay, so the next one is Dale of Merchants.
Pointless Parrot.
Pointless Parrot.
What?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That is the correct answer. Well done.
I got confused because of the money value of the cards.
Yes, but ultimately to win the game, you just need to be the last player standing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's good. You spotted the trick there. So that's it. You got 2 points already. So you're halfway to winning. So you're doing well so far. And by the way, you can play along at home as well if you want to write down your answers and have a guess. That's totally fine. Okay. So next up we have. Oh wait, I was right this down. Okay, so we've got. Hey, that's my fish.
Oh god. I don't know it, so.
Hey, that's my fish. What do you think? So the members, it's pointless or you've got a point.
Yeah, but I don't know the game, so I'm like, what could it be?
Then it's a complete guess. Yeah, this game doesn't work if you don't know the games. But you
No,
can take a guess. But you can kind of take a guess based on the anything you know about the game, or even just the name.
I'm gonna say you've got a point. Just that.
So you say you've got a point.
Yeah.
That is the incorrect response.
Yeah.
You were right in saying you've got a point. That is correct. The game is about collecting fish, and fish are worth different. Fish are worth points, but there is a bird in it, and it's the penguin. And the penguin is the main thing.
Yeah.
So that was sort of a trick question, because if you didn't know, the penguins are actually classed as birds.
Can I get a half point then? Because I got half the correct answer.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Half a point for that. All right. Okay. So next up we have birds of prey, airborne alert.
I think this is a trick question that there's no birds in it. And I'm gonna say pointless. Without.
So you're saying pointless. That's it. It says that's pointless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I also don't know the game, but I'm just double guessing.
I can reveal that is the correct answer. So you're already half a point away from winning. So you could do this. All right. So the next up we have untamed feral factions.
Oh. I know it, but there was no bird in it, right? I'm going over all the factions right now. So there's a rabbit, there's a tiger, rhino. Pointless without birds.
So you're saying that's pointless.
Yeah, because you destroy the strongholds. So it's not point-based. And I don't think there's a bird faction.
Okay, well, I can reveal that the correct answer is that's pointless. So you did it. You've done it. You've won the game. You've won the game, but now we're going to carry on and you're going to play for a high score, okay? So
I'm going to go for 6.5. Just
Wow. So you need to get these two right. Okay, fine. All right. So let's do Evolution. The game Evolution.
I'm just going to say you've got a point.
So you're saying you've got a point.
Yeah.
I can reveal. That is the correct answer.
Oh.
That's correct. And they did release an expansion called Evolution Flight, which introduced avian species into the game. But yeah, you're right. It's a point-based game, and there's no birds in the base game. Just regular old land mammals and other stuff. But yeah, well done. So you're on 5.5. So literally you're one correct answer away from 6.5 points, which was your very late into the game revealed goal. So we'll do it one more. The last game is Mysterium.
Pointless Parrot.
Mysterium, Pointless Parrot. I can reveal that is the correct response. Yeah. So you actually did get 6.5 points. 6.5 points
well,
out of 7.
Mysterium only has the crows, and that's the only thing I remember.
That's right.
Being actually birds.
But I mean, to be fair, like that is probably easier because if you've played that game, those 3 things stand out quite a lot because they are very unusual and they're actually quite a quirky feature. So I should have probably put that earlier down the list. But yeah, you did very well. I'm surprised, especially because one of those games you didn't know, but you knew a lot of the rest.
I knew multiple.
Yeah. But that was good. I was trying to trick you. The game.
Oh, I didn't know the Evolutions one.
Oh, you did. Oh, you didn't know that game. Oh, wow.
I didn't know the
well, that
the
was very
trick one with the birds in the title.
Birds of Prey. Yeah, that's actually a game all about airborne battle with like.
That's what
fighter
I
planes.
figure because they call like birds of the iron birds of the sky and stuff.
Well, that was just me trying to trick you, but obviously you saw through it, so fair play. All right, so guys, if you're watching, we're going to ask Emma any questions that you've got now. So if you have a question, a burning question for her, ask away. I am going to ask a question that Paul kind of established a precedent for early on in this series, which is all about what is your favorite cheese? So if you'd like to answer, what is your favorite cheese?
I don't have a favorite cheese because I'm lactose intolerant.
What about lactose-free cheese?
Oh, I don't like it at all.
Is it even cheese at that point?
It's like, it doesn't, like, vegan cheese doesn't melt. It's not good. No.
So vegan cheese is, because, yeah, I guess it comes from thinking, no, but I just didn't think there was it. I thought they were 2 separate things, like lactose-free and vegan cheese.
Yeah, but I can also not eat anything milk-related, so it's not just milk.
Gotcha.
Upsets my stomach. It's also the lactose, like, not just lactose, it's also the milk. So I cannot have any goat's cheese, or I love goat's cheese, but I cannot have it anymore.
There we go. That is your favorite cheese. Like, that's your favorite cheese, right?
Yeah, sure.
But you can't have it. It's just forbidden cheese. Is that right? Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, well, I'll just ask some questions because it's a bit quiet in the chat there. But I wanted to ask you, do you have a... what is some of your favorite gaming experiences that you've had? Like, I mean,
gaming or just board game related community?
Oh, I mean, let's talk about what. So, if you had the choice to go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go? I'm not right now. I mean, if it was safe and you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? Like, if budget wasn't an issue or anything, you could just go wherever you wanted.
Oh, then I would visit like all the people I've met online who've not been able to meet yet. So just travel the world.
Do you have
and go to Malaysia and see Kazrak because I need to see Kazrak one day. Did
you see Kazrak made an appearance on when I had a tea and a chit chat with Calvin?
I didn't, but
you have to go and check it out. She had an appearance on it, and honestly, she's so gorgeous. But did you see, like, I've been reading up on the adventures, and then currently she's in recovery because she accidentally knocked some knives off the kitchen shelf, which is just very very unfortunate, but she's in recovery, and that's the main thing. All right, well, we're actually getting to the end of the show. Like, what I'll let you do a plug. So is there anything, obviously you want to plug your podcast, but if there's anything else you'd like to plug, obviously you can do the Dungeons and Dragons stream as well. if you'd like to.
Yeah, so we're streaming Dungeons and Dragons tomorrow on No Pun Included. I am playing a halfling bard that's called Gina Giggles Good Barrel. It's going to be fun, hopefully. The podcast is to be found with Pointless Parrot Podcast. If you look that up on any social media, you should be able to find it. And just this randomness is to be found at Mzaya on Twitter and Instagram.
That's EMMZAJA.
Yeah.
Just so in case you were wanting to follow. But chances are you probably are already following her, because you've got more followers than I have on Twitter at the moment. So yeah, carry on. All right, so what I'll do is I'll just do a plug for my own stuff as well. So first of all, I do this tea and a chit chat every Tuesday and Friday at 6 p.m. British time, which is 5 p.m. GMT at the moment. And so my next guest on the 26th, so this coming Tuesday, will be Rob Daviau, creator of the Legacy game. So I'm very excited to chat to him. So please tune in. I also do board game stream every Thursday at 3 o'clock, as well as sometimes a bonus one on the weekend, and some video games on Monday. So that's on Twitch. If you're not following me already on Twitch, then please do. The little button. I always forget where it is. Up there somewhere. If you exit a full screen, you find it there. And obviously you'll see
yeah. Oh no, the other way around.
I know, right? It's right. I'll get confused. So I'm pointing in real life. It's up there, but I know it's up there. And also you see my social media. Down there. My social media handles if you'd like to follow me. And if you do fancy supporting the show, you can either subscribe to my Twitch or you can become a Patreon member as well. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for joining. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the show finally.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. If you will hopefully see you on the next stream, which will be on Monday at 3 or Tuesday at 6 if you want to join in the chat with Rob Daviau. But until then, have a lovely evening and take care, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.